Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Kevin Glenn Huey. What follows is a brief exposition on what the voter will experience on Election Day once the 2020 USA federal election paper ballot voting plan has been adopted. Voters will be asked to report to the precinct based upon their local elementary school, where they would send a child of elementary school age, should they have one and choose to utilize public education. Voters will also be asked to bring with them a proper form of governmental ID, which has their signature and photograph. These IDs may consist of varied forms, such as these examples. The requirement for possessing ID in order to cast a valid ballot will have been reiterated in the weeks leading up to the election by a public service campaign. Voters who did not possess ID prior to adoption of the plan will have been assisted in acquiring proper identification by National Guardsmen assigned to the elective process. Thus, their right to vote is protected and secured. Upon arrival at the school, the voter will be directed into a line based upon the first initial of their last name. They will be greeted by one of the student civic volunteers who will request their ID and compare it to the precinct register. The student will make sure the name and address of the voter on both the ID and the precinct register match. Upon confirmation, the student will request the voter sign the precinct register. This signature process will utilize a provided blue-colored Uniball pen, which resists bleaching and hence prevents the issue of forgery. The student will request the voter place their right thumb on the ink pad and then on the precinct register in the appropriate location as evidence of a ballot cast. Once this is witnessed, the voter will then be asked to move to the next station. Voters will then be handed ballots, either 2 or 3 in number. This is dependent upon whether a state senatorial seat is being contested during this election cycle. The ballots will consist of one for president and vice president with a red stripe on the left-hand margin, one for Senate with a white stripe on the left-hand margin, and one for representative to the U.S. Congress with a blue stripe on the left-hand margin. The voter will then be directed to the ballot casting station. Once in possession of their ballots and at a private voting station, the voter may choose their choice of candidate for the respective office and indicate that choice by circling it clearly with one of the number 2 pencils supplied to each station. If the voter has a choice which does not appear on the ballot, they are free to write in their choice and circle their written selection clearly, thus indicating their preference. Once done, the voter will fold each ballot in half, place the ballots into a ballot box, and their vote will have been cast. In this fashion, the preference of each and every voter for the offices at the federal level will be recorded accurately and done so without any possibility of interference. In an ideal situation, the actual process of checking in and casting a ballot should take no more than 5 minutes for the voter, with the wait in line hopefully being of reasonable duration. As a result of the simplicity of relying upon paper ballots instead of overly complex programs or machines that can cause mistakes or be compromised by outside interference, and mostly due to the diligence and honesty of students, volunteers, and guardsmen, the sanctity of election for federal offices may be assured. Thus, a paper ballot-centric voting system based upon precincts drawn from local elementary school zones, local to the residence of the voter, will be the simplest way to assure that we have a just election. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for your kind attention. May God bless you, and may God bless America. Please see the companion presentations on the YouTube channel. With freedom comes responsibility.